I think the significance of CSEA's 100th anniversary is that we've been around for 100 years growing and being better. We became part of the American labor movement in the 70s. We started to grow from there. McGowan decided to change the Constitution so that we could go after private sector workers. Joe went out there and said that we have to build a strong staff to help us provide those services. What I did was piggyback off both of them and build what I believed was a stronger operation altogether. Not internally looking at itself, but externally growing and representing the members the best we can.
We have managed to sustain ourselves and to remain a union for all of its time, obviously because we do things well. We have overcome lousy politicians, and we have overcome mediocre leaders, because the union is about the members.
People have to remember where we came from, you know, like we always say that with politicians and even our elected officials. Oh, they forgot where they came from. So it's a great thing that we remember our history and the beginning of such a great union.
We've done a good job over these years, that we've grown intensively from where we started with a small group of employees. And for something to have that long endurance says that we've been doing the right thing all these years.
What's important about our centennial is the growth in the union, the growth in the members, what they have accomplished, from pay raises to benefits to contracts, and how they've helped the community in all these years.
I think it's significant that we're a labor union and we've been in existence for 100 years, and we've had steady growth throughout that 100 years. And each decade creates its own successes and has its own challenges.
What's important to me about the CSEA Centennial is that it's quite an accomplishment on CSEA's part. And it's one of those earmarks that you want to celebrate with all our accomplishments for 100 years.
Over those 100 years, we can prove to people within our community and within our own membership that we have been here, that we care about our members, that we work very hard to make sure that our members' needs are met, and that no matter what, that we're a member-driven organization that has shown over the years that we've done something right. We've definitely done the right thing when it comes to our members and our communities.
I feel that the commitment throughout the 100 years is the common thread for CSEA. We have been involved with battles from day one, and we will be battling until the end. Our members are there for us, and we're there for the members.
And I believe only about 5 unions have reached the 100th, the centennial. And not many organizations, especially not many unions, have reached this particular time of 100 years in existence. That's a big thing. We should be celebrating every day.
On October 24, 1910, a group of New York State employees came together at the state capitol to form the Association of State Civil Service Employees. Their purpose was simple: advance the concept of merit and fitness in the state civil service system to improve the working lives of New York State employees. It was a humble and idealistic beginning in a much simpler time. New York's civil service system had been established by Assemblyman Theodore Roosevelt and signed into law by Governor Grover Cleveland in 1884. But by 1910, the civil service system was once again rife with corruption and favoritism. There was good reason for well-intentioned state employees to band together for change. There had been civil service reform organizations and other good government groups around for decades, but the Association of State Civil Service Employees is the first known organization of its kind representing state employees. The association's first president, William Thomas, was chief clerk to the state's attorney general. He was instrumental in the establishment of the state retirement system in 1920, giving the association a significant early achievement. In 1926, New York State voters sided with the charismatic Governor Al Smith and dramatically overhauled New York State government by constitutional amendment, giving true executive power to the governor. It was change that was welcomed and supported by the association. The stock market crash of October 1929 and the resulting onset of the Great Depression challenged America like no other event in its history to that point. For the Association of State Civil Service Employees, it was a new opportunity to grow and transform in unimaginable ways. The dynamic trio of William McDonough, Beulah Bailey, and Charles Brynd, working with the association's newly retained counsel, John DeGraff, transformed the association from a small parochial group into a dynamic force. As accomplishment built on accomplishment, the association just kept growing, from 600 members in the late 1920s to 35,000 just more than a decade later. The association focused on improving the lives of members and serving the people of New York. Cultivating relationships with the state's political leadership, starting with Governor Franklin D. Roosevelt, the association began getting results. Outreach to institutional workers coupled with chapter organizing across the state found willing supporters. Education programs, the establishment of the State Employee magazine, and a bargain group insurance program complemented legislative efforts to improve pay and working conditions. These were significant advancements in a time when public employees did not have collective bargaining rights. Dramatic change led the way in the post-World War II era. The association changed both its constitution and its name, becoming the Civil Service Employees Association and actively recruiting local government workers. Westchester County employees were the first to join up. The association experienced unprecedented expansion, community by community, across the state throughout the 1950s. Along the way, a tremendous record of legislative achievement was built year by year, with rights, benefits, and pay increases benefiting members and fueling further growth. In 1960, membership surpassed the 100,000 mark, and America's future looked bright. But by the mid-1960s, the world was a very different place. In the wake of the JFK assassination and an escalating war in Vietnam, the existing social order began to unravel. Labor unrest was just one byproduct of coming apart. New York's Governor Nelson A. Rockefeller sought to turn back a tide of disruptive public service strikes by making the state a model for resolving public employee labor management disputes. The result was 1967's Public Employee Fair Employment Act, known as the Taylor Law. The Taylor Law sparked a firestorm of controversy. While the law granted collective bargaining rights to public employees, it prohibited public sector strikes in favor of dispute resolution. CSEA, still an independent organization outside of the AFL-CIO and the mainstream labor movement, was one of the few unions to actually support the newly enacted law. The implementation of the Taylor Law brought its share of surprises and difficulties. After advocating for its membership for more than 50 years, CSEA suddenly found its representation rights being directly challenged by AFL-CIO unions, most notably the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFSCME. After a bitter fight, CSEA soundly turned back the AFSCME challenge for the right to represent the vast majority of New York State employees. Then CSEA went on to lock up recognition in local government unit after unit across New York. The 1970s brought about some of the most significant changes in the history of CSEA. Having full collective bargaining rights meant learning new ways to represent members. An influx of new staff and activists helped usher in a whole new era, often testing the limits of the new Taylor Law and securing unprecedented contracts. An internal reorganization established 6 region offices across the state and full-time elected statewide and region officers. New ways of doing business also created a political action committee and the CSEA Employee Benefit Fund. Throughout the mid-1970s, a group calling itself the Public Employees Federation, backed by the Service Employees International Union and the American Federation of Teachers, kept trying to pick off CSEA's New York State Professional, Scientific, and Technical Unit. On their third try, they succeeded, and in one dark day, CSEA lost 55,000 members. The immediate result was that CSEA President William McGowan secured an affiliation agreement with AFSCME to bring CSEA into the House of Labor and end the raids by AFL-CIO unions. One of the first significant achievements of the new CSEA-AFSCME axis was the 1980 Public Employee Safety and Health Act, the first and still most comprehensive law of its kind in the nation. CSEA and AFSCME soon became a political powerhouse in New York, helping Mario Cuomo win an upset campaign for governor in 1982 and making its voice heard in elections and legislative proceedings in localities statewide. As CSEA's ability to make impact and produce results got better, it still rarely came without a fight and important lessons learned. In late 1991, in the midst of a bruising fight with Governor Mario Cuomo, CSEA took the bold step of endorsing little-known Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton for president in a crowded primary field. It was a move that demonstrated CSEA's foresight and willingness to stand up for its beliefs. Through budget battles, public policy campaigns, and difficult contract negotiations, CSEA has never lost its membership focus. The union has not always won, but we have consistently fought the good fight, resulting in a year-by-year, decade-by-decade record of solid advocacy. In recent times, CSEA has gained pension reform while standing strong against attempts to undermine retirement benefits and Social Security. CSEA has stood up for public services and a healthcare system that works for everyone. There have also been organizing victories that have helped strengthen the union ranks at a time when others are losing members. Equally important is the CSEA commitment to encouraging leadership and involvement through initiatives such as the LEAD program, the Next Wave, and an ongoing dialogue with members to chart the future direction of the union. It might be easy to take the CSEA of the 21st century for granted, but that would be a mistake. The union is larger and more diverse than ever before. Our officers, staff, and activists are more capable, better trained, better informed, and equipped with more resources to do the job than at any time in our history. Still, CSEA's work is more difficult, and just holding on to gains is harder than ever. Over the course of 100 years, CSEA has grown and adapted to new circumstances. We are a very different organization today than we were when that small group of state employees gathered at the state capitol in 1910. Yet we are still here because at the heart of CSEA, our core values of fairness and respect are the same.
Someone's keeping up country roads and working on city streets. Someone's keeping justice from the Great Lakes to the sea. These are people meeting many people's needs. Someone's making plans for tomorrow's great demands, building bridges and highways, buildings and byways, gardens and parks for New York to enjoy. Somebody's doing a good job, and it's good when people notice. Somebody's doing a good job of keeping New York growing.
New York has a heart, a very special part. It's your family, friends, and neighbors. You depend upon our neighbors.
We drive your kids to school on roads that we maintain. We obey the golden rule to ease our neighbors' pain. We're your workforce, a vital part of New York. The job's getting done, whatever the task, it's getting done right, and you don't have to ask.
You know who's there, you know the right source. It's CSEA, your leading workforce.
CSEA, we do the job right, every day and every night. The workforce is there, we do the job